students, in this lecture we will study about the barriers of innate immunity and then the types of acquired immunity. Now first, the barriers. Mainly the innate immunity shows different types of barriers which prevents the entry of pathogens in the body. The first barrier we are going to study is the anatomical or physical barrier. First is skin. Now all of you know that skin consists of the two types of glands, that is the sweat glands and sebaceous glands. The sweat glands secrete sweat, and in sweat there is a high concentration of salts which mainly protect from the infections. Also, the skin consists of the sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands secrete the sebum, which is mainly the oily substance, and it is an antibacterial and antifungal in action. So it is the skin which protects our body from the infections. Then mucous membrane, the epithelial tissue or epithelial lining of the gastrointestinal tract, respiratory tract, urinary tract, they show the mucous membrane. It secretes mucus, and this mucus, it traps the dust particles as well as the pathogens. So it is another important protective membrane. So these are the anatomical or physical barriers. Then antimicrobial substance in the blood, mainly the interferons, they are cytokinins. So these interferons, they are the substances produced by the virally infected cells to protect the other cells of the body which are not infected. So these interferons, they are secreted by the virally infected interferons. They are glycoproteins mainly. So they are secreted by these virally infected cells to protect other cells. Then another third type of the cellular barriers are the phagocytic barriers. Mainly in our blood there are present the neutrophils, monocytes, which are phagocytic in action. So they engulf the foreign bodies and destroy them. The macrophages, mainly the neutrophils, then monocytes and the macrophages. So these are the cells which protect the body or destroy the pathogens by engulfing them. So we have studied in the topic circulation that monocytes, they are, and neutrophils, they are phagocytic in action. Also monocytes produces the macrophages. These macrophages are large irregular sized cells which engulf the foreign bodies and destroy them, and this protect the body from infection. Also the macrophages of blood, they are monocytes. The macrophages of the liver, they are called as Cooper cells, and macrophages of the tissues are called as the histocytes. So it is about the phagocytic barrier. Now physiological barrier, mainly the fever. It is the natural defense of the body which prevents the pathogens, the increase in the pathogens. So fever, that is the increase in body temperature, mainly prevents the increase in the number of pathogen or destroys the pathogen. Along with this, the lysozyme enzyme present in the tears, that is the secreted by lacrimal glands. Lysozyme enzyme, it is the enzyme secreted by the lacrimal glands which is present in tears. It protects our eyes from the infections or bacterial infections. So this is about the physiological barriers. And last is the acute phase proteins. Acute phase proteins, whenever there is an injury or infection, the plasma proteins, they are increased in the concentration. They are called as the acute phase proteins, which mainly increases the host's resistance. Hostचा रेजिस्टन्स वाढवण्यासाठी हे acute phase proteins हे काम करतात. तर मेनली कोणते आहेत हे, तर CRP, that is the mainly these are the acute phase proteins. So it is about the acute phase proteins, CRP, that is the C-reactive proteins, mannose binding proteins, etc. Mannose binding proteins. So it is about the mannose binding proteins. So it is about the acute phase proteins. So these are the various barriers in the innate immunity. Now we will start about the acquired immunity. Now this acquired immunity, what is meaning? The immunity which is acquired by the individual in its lifetime. Now this immunity, it is the adaptive and it is specific immunity. Now various types of acquired immunity we are going to study. Mainly the acquired immunity, it is of two types, that is the active and passive immunity. First is active. Active immunity, active acquired immunity, and second is passive acquired immunity. Passive acquired immunity. Now in this type we are going to study again what is meaning passive and what is meaning active. The active means it is produced after the infection of any pathogen. So after entry of pathogen, it stimulates the immune system and it produces the antibodies. So it is naturally produced immunity and it is active. So it is again two types, that is the natural and artificial. Okay, we are going to study again these two types, that is the natural and artificial. Natural active immunity and artificial active immunity. What is meaning? Now see first the natural active immunity, how it is produced in the body. Whenever there is an infection by the pathogens, the body, the immune system, it is stimulated and it produces antibodies against that pathogens. So for example, if a person is attacked by the measles, so to fight against measles, there are produced the antibodies and they will remain inside the body lifetime. So this immunity, it is a lifetime immunity. So example of this is attack of measles will produce antibodies and they will protect the body lifetime. So this is the permanent immunity against the measles. This is permanent immunity against the measles. Now second type is the artificial immunity. Means what? The immunity which is formed by the vaccination. Means the vaccines, they induces the or stimulates the immune system. Means here the antigens, they are introduced in the body and they produces antibodies against these antigens. So vaccines are mainly the BCG vaccine, polio vaccine. Vaccination is the artificial active acquired immunity. So example of this artificial immunity is polio vaccine. This vaccination produces the artificial immunity. Example, polio vaccine or the BCG vaccine. So याला आपण लस असं म्हणतो, पोलिओची लस किंवा बीसीजीची लस ही लहान मुलांच्या मध्ये दिली जाते. कशासाठी? तर त्यांना या व्हायरसेसचं इन्फेक्शन पुन्हा होऊ नये. किंवा टायफॉइड, तर त्याच्यासाठी ह्या लसी दिल्या जातात. त्याला आपण वॅक्सिन असं म्हणतो. आता हे वॅक्सिन कसं तयार केलं जातं याचा आपण अभ्यास पुढच्या पार्टमध्ये करणार आहोत. ठीक आहे. तर ही आर्टिफिशियली ॲक्वायर्ड ॲक्टिव्ह इम्युनिटी आहे, कारण इथे बॉडी सेल्स दे आर गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस द अँटीबॉडीज अगेन्स्ट दॅट अँटीजन्स. So here vaccination will stimulates the formation of antibodies, and that is why it is the acquired active immunity and it is artificial immunity. Now remaining next, that is the passive immunity. Passive immunity means it is already or ready-made antibodies, they are introduced into the body. So again it is of two types, that is natural and artificial. Natural and artificial. Now see here first the how the naturally prepared antibodies they are present in the individual. So in case of the pregnant woman, the mother transmits the antibodies from placenta into the fetus before birth. So this is a naturally passive immunity, and after birth the mother's milk consists of, which is the first milk called as the colostrum, and it consists of antibodies which are after birth they are mainly transferred to the baby. So example of this passive immunity, that is natural passive immunity, acquired immunity, is mainly colostrum in the milk, which is the first milk which is fed to the baby, and it consists of mainly the antibodies. So this immunity, it is temporary type of immunity, and it is natural immunity to fight against the pathogens. Colostrum in the milk of mother is transferred to child. So it is the after birth, and before birth the placenta, through the placenta it is present. Before birth through placenta antibodies are transmitted. So it is about the natural passive immunity transferred. Now we are going to study the artificially passive acquired immunity. Now how it is produced? Mainly the pathogens like the rabies, the disease like the rabies. To fight against this rabies, the anti-serum is prepared in the hyper-immunized horses, and this anti-serum is introduced into the organism, and which produces the artificially passive immunity. So hyper-immunized animal like the horse, it is used to prepare the anti-serum for the rabies infection. So here I will write hyper-immunized horses produces anti-serum against the rabies pathogen. So this is the artificial passive immunity. So these are the four types of mainly types of acquired immunity: active and passive. Again, active, that is the natural and artificial, and passive, natural and artificial. So question may be asked in the exam about the types of immunity. Okay, so here we have completed the types of immunity. Now next we are going to study the structure of antibody. Thank you.